F-Zero for the Super Nintendo was a notable success for Nintendo. Assuming my sources are accurate, the game sold just shy of 3 million copies worldwide, not an insignificant number. Technically, it already had a sequel of sorts, but that was only in Japan. There was actually a huge gap between F-Zero and its first actual sequel, a full 8 years. Even counting the Satellaview content, that still leaves a good 6 years between the games. I'm guessing Nintendo wanted to wait until they had newer hardware before they attempted another F-Zero. It's a good thing too, because with the power behind the Nintendo 64, Nintendo was about to reinvent the racing game for a second time. F-Zero X released in 1998 for the Nintendo 64 and had the most amazing guitar riff to go along with it. I didn't get to play it until a while after some of the later games came out, but I can definitely see that F-Zero X was a massive improvement over the original, completely overhauling the gameplay, the music. Just about the only thing F-Zero X didn't excel at was the graphics, and even then that's only because the developers intentionally lowered the graphical quality so this game could be one of the few Nintendo 64 games to run at a smooth 60 frames per second. And you're going to need every one of those frames too, because the racing has gotten even faster. The gameplay has been entirely overhauled, as the Grand Prix mode now consists of a massive 30 racers, all competing at the same time. 6 of them are playable initially, but do well enough and you can unlock them all. Every last one of these vehicles has a name, stats, 4 coats of paint to choose from, and a pilot with full body art and a few choice quotes for you if you win the Grand Prix with that character. Finally, you can actually see Captain Falcon in-game, not to mention the other 29 characters who look as if they were ripped straight out of an American comic book, considering all the spandex and muscles, even on the women. There's even an evil counterpart to our hero called Blood Falcon, who holds a severed head in his portrait, and they actually had to change his car's name because in Japan it's literally called the Hellhawk. As for other characters of interest, hey, wait a minute. James McCloud. Oh my god, Fox's father is alive, and not a fox. Then there's Black Shadow, who I just can't stop thinking of as Batman, but with bullhorns. This guy is even the antagonist, go figure. There are 4 main Grand Prix series, each with 6 racetracks. The courses this time are longer in general, but you have to race only 3 laps. On the second and third laps, you can use your machine's boosters. Boosting gives you a burst of speed at the cost of some of your machine's energy, making keeping track of the pit areas and dash panels a lot more important. You also have to be careful not to turn too sharply while going too fast, as this causes you to lose control of the car. A new technique called drifting lets you control better around sharper turns. Before each race, you can also adjust a slider that lets you sacrifice maximum speed for acceleration, or the other way around. Though, personally, I always keep it close to the center. It's not worth going full max speed or full acceleration. Messing with the slider is also important because the lower your speed, the better you turn, so that's worth keeping in mind as well. This time around, you don't have to finish in a particular position to move on, but you'll want to do your best, because to win the Grand Prix, you have to earn points by placing in high positions. This can become very difficult if the gap between you and the guy in first is very wide, so one new option you're given is to literally attack the other racers. Either with a spin attack or a side attack. Smashing other vehicles to dust makes it impossible for them to earn any points in that round. Shame they don't get do-overs like you do. Attacking your opponents is so much fun and opens up a lot of options for winning races. In fact, the game encourages you to do it, because there's always a convenient rival marker on whoever's got the highest number of points. There's even a bonus mode called Death Race, where you don't race to the finish. You race to destroy everyone else first, before they destroy you. As for the tracks themselves, well, they take the phrase zero gravity to a whole new level. Just the first course alone has a very large loop. Other courses have you driving upside down for parts of it, including lots and lots of jumps, and a couple of them have the player driving on the outside of a cylinder track. There's one where you drive on the inside of a giant pipe, and another course takes place on a half pipe. The developers explored dozens of possibilities with a third dimension here, and it's awesome. Just be sure not to go too fast in some locations, or else you could speed off the track entirely. One other bizarre inclusion is the X Cup, a game mode where the course is randomly generated. Usually this results in a variation on a boring circle of some kind, but it's pretty funny to watch it generate a course the AI isn't prepared for. You even unlock a new series after beating the first 3 on standard or better, and the first course is Rainbow Road? That sounds familiar. All tracks outside the X-Cup are playable in a time attack mode, where you race by yourself to get the best time. F-Zero X has a feature called the Staff Ghost, pioneered by Mario Kart 64. See, the player can save a ghost that is basically a recording of your movements during a time attack run that you can later race against for the purposes of improving your time, allowing you to see exactly where you messed up or where you can improve. Well, a Staff Ghost is one of such recordings belonging to someone on the development team, and you can unlock one for every course. If you're good, and I mean really good, you can try to beat the Staff Ghosts, and they're incredibly hard if you don't master any advanced techniques. Those developers must have gotten seriously good at their own game. That might be the reason that the difficulty of this one is astronomically high compared to the previous game. I struggle with the Master Mode on the original F-Zero, but in F-Zero X I can barely place decently in its Master Mode. This unfortunately seems to be accomplished by having the AI just go faster whenever they're behind. The computer in this game rubber bands even harder than a Mario Kart game, even going so far as to have the point leader in the Grand Prix perform suspiciously better than everyone else just to make it harder. You really need your A game in order to win this, but it's worth it because you can get Captain Falcon to take his helmet off if you win Master Mode with him. Then again, I did just spoil it, so nobody has to actually take on that challenge. Moving on. And then there's the music. Oh man, if you thought the music from the original game was good, you have got to listen to the soundtrack of F-Zero X. They have done an amazing job this time around. Our old favorites, Mute City and Big Blue, are back and better than ever, but now you've got a whole host of amazing tunes, such as the music for Silence, White Land, and even a Rainbow Road remix added by the expansion kit. It's almost hard to imagine racing to any other soundtrack, to be honest. If you're interested in the most amazing electric guitar soundtrack that exists on the internet, go look up the F-Zero X Guitar Arranged soundtrack. You will not be disappointed. Yet again, however, the story doesn't end there if you're playing this in Japan. Nintendo had developed yet another console add-on, this time for the Nintendo 64, and it was way less successful than the Satellaview. The 64 disk drive was a basic expansion system that used discs. Go figure. Sort of a holdover from that deal they had with Sony to make a CD add-on that fell through and led to the PlayStation. Practically the only interesting item on the 64 disk drive's roster was the F-Zero expansion kit. Pun mine, not theirs. Which added a wealth of extra content, including 2 new course series, new vehicles and outfits for Captain Falcon, Jody Summer, and Samurai Goro, new music including an actual Rainbow Road remix, and best of all, a track editor and a vehicle customizer. The vehicle customizer is pretty basic and lets you select from a number of parts to build your car. You can apply decals and a fresh coat of paint, but there's not much to it otherwise. The track editor, however, is incredibly flexible and you can actually get really creative with a course design if the X-Cup is any indication. All of this is really awesome stuff, but it's soured a little by the fact that the new cars and car parts are sitting there unused on the actual cartridge, meaning the expansion kit just enables this stuff. What's more, no attempt has been made to re-release this content, even as F-Zero X has been made available on the Wii Virtual Consoles. Same goes for the Satellaview stuff. Nintendo, you're leaving money on the table here, you know. Well, even without the disk drive, you can actually access most of this with GameShark codes, even in the US versions, and code generators for custom cars do exist. For custom tracks, there are tools for modifying the courses if you feel so inclined. Get it? Inclined. Inclined. While we're on the topic of the N64, I think now's a good time to talk about the F-Zero representation in the first Super Smash Bros. Game. This Nintendo crossover fighter was so outrageous that Nintendo almost didn't think it would sell overseas. Our man Captain Falcon appears in the game as a hidden unlockable character, obtained by beating the game in under 20 minutes on any difficulty. A race against the clock, just like in F-Zero. As he originated in a racing game, Falcon's moveset doesn't really take direct inspiration from his origins. It's all original moves. But oh, what glorious moves they are! Falcon is absolute camp in Smash Bros., and I love it, even though it completely clashes with his portrayal as a sort of stoic badass in the later games. but it's worth it. Catching someone with the infamous Falcon Punch is never unsatisfying. Even Kirby gets in on the action if he's able to copy Captain Falcon's ability. The Nintendo 64 was a great time for F-Zero. F-Zero X reinvented the game into a masterpiece of a racer, and the Smash Bros. Representation gave it even greater exposure. What's next for this series? Well, you could say it's going in a bit of an unexpected direction for a little while before coming back even better than ever. Next time, F-Zero goes portable.